Hello, hi Radmila.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Radmila.
everyone.
How are you?
Hi,
I'm
Radmila.
happy to be with all of you guys.
You
Uh,
too.
Yeah, nice to see you.
yeah, you too. You too. Okay, so for today, we're going to talk about different things, but I'd like to start with uh, the current situation as usual to understand the market and to make the most of it. So basically, what can we do? The question has always been, what can we do currently these days, right? And last week we spoke or we explained about remarketing. If you haven't attended last Friday's talk, please watch the tutorial or the recording, because I think that mechanism is really benefiting you. And you don't have to take my word for granted. I suggest, I really advise you to try everything that we spoke about here in the meetings. Try them. Try. Probably whenever you've been browsing or looking for things, looking up for things in the internet, you've come across Oxinity adverts. Probably you have done that. Uh, Make the trial, see what's going on there. Okay, click on it and use an incognito session to keep track of the process. But basically, to summarize, for those who weren't here last week, the more you share, the more links with your IDC you share, the more people can, once they click on your link, even though they don't become leads, even though they just read you, they are going to come across Oxinity adverts. And even after weeks and months, if they click on this Oxinity advert, although long ago they forgot about the original link that they clicked, the cookie is still there. We keep your IDC, and you can convert that. So the outcome is for you. Long story short, sharing links with your IDC eventually makes it possible for remarketing to work for you. You don't pay for it, we do, but you benefit for it directly. So it's very, very straightforward, and it's super easy. Just to remind you, Jordan, who is with us here, had this probably fantastic opening, yeah, that he started sharing, and he got 3 leads in that same day. Eventually, they tried on Saturday and became clients. So
Wow, nice.
That was amazing. I couldn't believe it myself, to be honest. But the Friday helped. The Friday talk definitely helped.
yeah,
Cool.
and no, and there are many cases. I mean, you guys are surprised, but actually, after every action of yours, we see results. And Josie, I don't know if Josie's with us as well. Same thing with her.
Hi.
Hey, yeah, she was talking about, or we were chatting about where she can put her profile, and she found this German site. She put her link there, and I don't know, in 20 minutes you got 2 clicks. It was two leads. It was one after the other. I was, oh my God, how are we
Yes.
talking about? So it was super straightforward. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so this is one thing, and then the other thing is that being said, then the whole potential that putting students into Oxinity, the Oxinity environment will help you. How it will help you. And we've been talking about it, so I'm not going to repeat again. But today, I would like to put on the table something slightly different. So we are now witnessing that you go out, if you're in Barcelona and in Madrid, you go out and you don't have to wear a mask, right? So this is very recent, and we are allowed to not to wear masks in open spaces. We have to be prudent in closed spaces, but the situation is changing. So let's say that coronavirus is not such a big threat for people. It is kind of controlled. The whole mechanism, health mechanisms have made it possible. So now we have to be prepared for this question. So what about in person? Okay, what about in person? And sooner or later, you have to answer it for yourselves. And why I'm putting it on the table? Because online has proven to have this huge potential. And I will repeat what we spoke about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the market trends clearly targeting online platforms, clearly putting money in online platforms. That's the future. So we have to be aware of it. But it's also a market that has bigger competition. And it is absolutely fair. I think I'm not mistaken, but you must be thinking, so what about the local guy, the student that wants in-person classes? So do I say yes? Do I say no? So let's see what you can do again with these mechanisms that we have created to decide one way or another. The decision is always yours. The ultimate decision will be yours, but you have to know the parameters so that your decision is the right one for you. So, okay, again, shall we go in person or not? Obviously, if you're thinking, okay, we have to, in person is one-to-one, I go somewhere, then the decision or the parameters to decide is what is the rate that you're charging, and then divide by 2. Why? Because you have 1 hour of teaching, 1 hour of traveling. So whatever rate you get, if it's just one-to-one, you divide. Yeah, it's half of it. It's half the price. That will always be the case. So deciding between staying online and something that is, in my opinion, bad business for you, probably will be quite a good decision. So there is an alternative to that, which is what we're going to talk about today. Now, before I show you the potential of again of our tools, I would like to know a little bit more about how you feel about in person. What's your personal opinion? What do you think?
I did want to ask about this because, yes, I only really did any sort of first marketing last night, and I was pretty surprised at how quickly, as you said, people were clicking on things. And I did have a lady ask me if I could go and teach her son, and she seemed really keen to do it in person. I did kind of say that I'm only teaching online and sent her a link, but I can go back to it, and pass her on. But I personally, I'm not sure. I think I do just want to teach online, but then if I don't want to lose potential clients either, but I'm obviously advertising it at €16, and I would have to maybe double that. Which then, that's then getting really competitive again. People are charging way less for that still for in person. So,
So this is your dilemma, and I know it, and I know what you must be thinking. So your dilemma, I really understand the way teachers think. They are always, they always have this, they're into mind. So, okay, I have this student, they want in person. I tell them online, they don't want online. They see online prices, they want me in person. Shall I go shall I do in person for €16? This is it. Option number 1, I ignore whatever we talk about here and I go on my own and I take the €16 because it's safe. And eventually this is €8 for me because I come and go. That's it. So is this a good business or a bad business? Well, I don't know. Having a better option, it's definitely the bare minimum. So if you are alone, then yeah, you have to decide and think that you will be thinking that way. Line of thoughts number 2. What is Radmila talking about? What is she talking about? If these guys have hours, why don't they give me hours and end of story? Why the whole hassle? You know, why bothering? Why I'm not good at marketing? I'm not going to get anything. People want something that I'm not offering, or people want in person. I'm telling them online. I will lose them, etc., etc. So I know all these things. I know it. I know it. So, but here the thing is, shall we just keep to what everyone does, which is offering their hours, or we can be a little bit more, more strategic and play with hours and with students. So this is it. This is the whole thing. Those who want to just put their hours at the disposal of the community and just do that, fine. This is one way of approaching it. But the other way is, but yes, there is a mechanism to also include students in the equation, right? So Tommy, over to you because you've raised your hand.
Hi guys again.
Hi.
So I've been wanting to say that both of the ways mentioned could be beneficial for both the students and the tutors, but the thing is, online is much more convenient. We lose the travel expenses, we lose the time traveling, but online we don't lose anything. We can just do it from just like right now. I'm on a meeting and I'm walking through the city, so yeah, it's pretty much very, very convenient for everybody involved. And for every student that is far away, we can find two who are online. So, in my opinion, it is a developing topic. It is there's some much room to grow, but yeah, I think online could be much more beneficial than in person. Especially in the ways of the quantity and quality.
Okay, so stay there. I like it because that's it. Quantity and quality in online, we have achieved it, but we'll see how we can do that in person if you decide to also use the Oxinity mechanism in person. Okay, so Tommy is. We hear your stance. That's fine. Let's hear Mark.
Hi, Radmila. Hi, everyone. Now, obviously, I was with Oxinity for about 18 months before we all went into lockdown, and of course, online. I won't say it didn't exist because, of course, we were giving classes from the Oxinity office. We didn't really have the facility to do it at home. And there's no doubt that it has been a fantastic tool that we have used over the last 2 years. My own personal experience, and it is only my own personal experience, because I live in Spain, I live close to Barcelona. I used to travel every day to Barcelona. Obviously, it's for those people who live away from Spain. It obviously online is really the only option. But in terms of the quality of the classes, I would always argue that face-to-face, especially if you're in a group, okay, if you're in an office teaching a group of people in an office, face-to-face is infinitely better. The dynamic you have, the interaction with the students, you can use gestures, you can have people talking in groups, perhaps doing a little activity in groups I've had groups of 8 or 9 people. You divide them into 3 groups, get them talking, get them preparing something in 10 minutes. You can supervise, you can oversee, you can perhaps use whiteboards to demonstrate things, write things down. The dynamic is especially for a group, especially for office classes, is fantastic, and that contact you have with the student, you lose if it's online. There's, in my personal opinion, if you're talking purely about quality, sitting with somebody is infinitely better than talking over a computer. That is just my opinion.
Okay.
And I think that if we have the opportunity and we're happy to do it, then that is something that we should definitely consider and we should definitely offer. What I would ask, Radmila, is obviously we have a price structure which at the moment, of course, is all based on online. What used to be the case was that Oxinity would add €3 to the price of a class, basically to contribute to the cost of traveling. And of course, obviously, if you're working in Barcelona or Madrid or a big Spanish city, then obviously you buy a ticket for the day, for the week, for the month, or whatever. And of course, the cost for each class is not great. Would Oxinity go back to doing that for face-to-face classes? Will they offer a different price structure for face-to-face classes, or will we get this exactly the same price whether we do a class online or whether we do face-to-face?
Okay, so Mark, the Oxinity that, well, obviously with some parts, I hear you, but this is not the same river as it used to be. You know, what was that saying? You never cross the same river. Oxinity is not the same Oxinity as you remember it in 2018. It's been a long a long way, and no, we're not going back to what we had, because Oxinity is different. But of course, there are mechanisms. I'll answer about everything. I'll answer quality. So whenever you think quality, you and me are thinking different things. You are thinking quality of the relationship. I'm thinking quality of the class. And whenever you think of quality of the relationship, yes, I know that we need contact, physical contact. I agree with that, with you in that whenever we are close to each other, the relationship is better. Now, quality of the class is something completely different. And quality of the class doesn't depend on proximity. It depends on other factors that we have ensured through technology. So yes, you will be a better teacher, you Mark, the same Mark, with technology, you will be better than without it. Because even though you may not realize it, it's not so evident, but you're benefiting it directly and indirectly. And with your charm and charisma, of course, in the short distance, that will be a greater class. This is true. But when we talk about in person, I'm not thinking of that. I'm thinking of other aspects. So even in person classes, you can benefit from the technology, you can benefit from the same mechanisms of growth than online. But let me tell you something that Tommy kind of mentioned. He saw the potential of online because we can group students. So we're going to discuss exactly that, how with in person you can achieve the same effectiveness as in online. And believe it or not, quality doesn't depend on in-person, Mark. Quality depends on, right now, today in 21st century, depends on that and other elements in it. So I'm putting them in the equation because they're usually forgotten. Yeah. So you can't online, the greatness of online or digital, and I'm not thinking Zoom, I'm thinking Oxinity here, is that we can measure everything. We measure inputs, we store inputs, and with them, we use them to improve the students' learning and to speed it up. This is it. So does it happen in person? If you use Oxinity, of course, it will happen in person. But quality, to me, that's quality. To me, quality is how fast we're able and how effective the student learns after one interaction with us, right?
Yeah,
Now,
I agree with what you're saying. Obviously, we're in the sense that you're looking at two different things: the quality of the class, the activities are the same, and you can get people interacting online. I agree entirely, and I think you're right to distinguish between quality of relationship and quality of class. Yeah. And I agree. The quality of the activities is definitely something that depends upon the teacher, of course, but you can deliver the same activities online as in a face-to-face class. But certainly, I think we should be open to the fact that we can add a dynamic to a face-to-face class that is simply impossible to have in an online class. And it might be that difference between something that's essential, which is the quality of the class, which can be online, and something that is nice to have. It's not essential to do a class face to face. I fully accept that, but there is that extra, that bonus, if you like, and I think we should at least be open to face classes if the opportunity arises, if it's convenient to us, if it's something that a client wants.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why I'm asking. This is one opinion. It's super valid. But again, let me insist on that because it's not the same Oxinity. Oxinity has evolved. So everything around the mechanisms of growth have changed as well, and it has changed for the better. So before we were much more protective with the prices and everything, and now they're more open. So now it's you guys that decide. But now I'm going to explain, but since there are many people that have raised their hand, I'm going to give them the floor. So Georgina, over to you.
Well, no, just another opinion. I'm sorry, Mark. Yes, I also miss a classroom. I also miss it sometimes, and those dynamics and the students working in groups and all of that. Yes, but that's a group class. And here, maybe online, we have the private lessons, and they're completely different. And it also has good things. And yes, a lot of people say, I want in person because of that human touch, whatever. You don't need a physical connection. You need a personal connection. And just last week, I had this, well, this week, it's this girl. I didn't know her. She didn't know me. We hit it off with the first questions. We were laughing. She was just having, well, we were close and it happened there. So you don't need to be physically there. And yes, there's some dynamics in one place, but there's dynamics in the other. And all this, for example, alert zone that we talk about, I think that can only happen online. Hello, goodbye. I don't think that can happen in person because hello, who are you? And yes, I like to have a little student outside of my home from time to time. I need to leave my house. That's also part of the quality of life that I need. I live alone. But eventually I have this little student, I help her with her homework. That's all I do. I'm not teaching her English. Yes, thank God she lives 10 minutes away. I would never go and give a class taking the metro and traveling anywhere. I'm also in my comfort zone now. I'm sorry, and I want to stay. And all this Oxinity, it's a completely different teaching method, learning method. I don't know, and it's much more profitable in the long run for the students and for us as well. Sorry, Mark. And I'm saying that I'm probably not the best teacher. I have to say, sometimes I hear Mark talk about the classes, and I'm like, wow, you know, what an amazing teacher. But we have other resources and possibilities and dynamics here. That's just what I want to say.
Yeah, Georgina, I agree. And to me as well, I will be completely open. Quality is better in online. That's it. For all these reasons that stay behind the class as well. You know, you can help the student better. You waste less time. I mean, the series of reasons that, to me personally, I'm absolutely certain about it. But we're here to hear your opinion as well. So, Mari Carmen, over to you.
Hi, I just wanted to make a judgment upon certain evidence, and I just want to bring my experience here too. I've taught in academies, I have taught private lessons, and in companies as well. So obviously, after a certain amount of time, you can evaluate the situation, okay, the speed at which they learn, the results at the end of the day. And I was the first one surprised, because obviously this is relatively new. The online teaching has been a long time, but not so much 5 years ago, say. And I was amazed when I realized that I didn't understand why the online teaching gave better results, because I wasn't used to it, right? It was more traditional. And that, through that result, is what made me analyze why. It was kind of surprising. And of course, the dynamics of the class is totally different. The efficiency, because we don't want well, I don't think students want a relationship with us, and I don't think we want a relationship with them. We want them to learn, and that's what they want too. So if you know the system and you treat the system properly, you see the results, and that's the only way you can reach conclusions and say, I'm surprised, but online is definitely the way, and especially with our system that we should know and treat well, like I say. That's one thing. And the last thing I wanted to say is that for the same mentality you will find, and I have found in many people that want you to go to their houses, to their companies, etc., etc. It's normal they have that reaction, because they don't know the same thing I didn't know before. So, of course, we don't want to lose a client. I understand that. But you can not lose a client and yet make them try online. And that is the key word here for them to say, oh my God, and be surprised as well, and say, wow, I never thought that the dynamics could be like that. The system is very carefully studied with 3 people in the class, the dynamics, all the motivation behind it. It's a whole world that put together is what makes good results, and results is what we want. Now, if you want to go and give in and do in person, let's be very careful not to do dumping to ourselves, because how much are you going to tell them to pay so that it's worth it?
That's exactly. So I want to I want to help people here is because I see and I hear you all. I've been wondering. Yes, it's better to stay online, but how about those people that really want in person, and both the teachers and the students? So to me, again, let me put it very, very clear, in clear, simple words. Online is better, but we have to take care of people that want in person too. Just I'm not saying that those who are convinced online have to now think in person. No. But what about those people that think in person? What can we do for them? Okay, so with this in mind, I think that my recommendation would be, again, to think that in person understood as one-to-one, in person understood as only one-to-one is old school. Yeah. So we've been developing many more tools to allow to do better for you guys. Yeah. And one-to-one, even though I can see that human touch can help, but I think that in one-to-one, online or in person, we waste time. Not only us traveling, but the student in class waste time. I'm sorry, but it's true. It is proven. Yeah, because of all this socializing, this is waste of time. And Mari Carmen is right to say they pay for us to, to be straight on the point, to activate and not to socialize, although they like that part as well. So what to do? What to do is just know, you guys, you have to know that we are ready for in-person too, for those that may decide that. Okay, so, but not in the old way, not old school. With technology, we have the same potential, but apply to in-person. So I'm going to quickly show you what I have in mind, and then I know who has raised your hands. I haven't forgotten about you. I'll quickly explain what we have in mind. We'll continue with you guys. But this is what I want to show you. You will see that here in our website, if you go to oxinity.com and you click that tab here, in person, yeah, presencial, in person, then here we are already, or we've always been ready for in-person. So you can check what places we have in Madrid, what places we have in Barcelona, in Bilbao, in Toledo. In Bilbao and Toledo, just one, because our partners there, we have one partner in each city, but the potential is there. So what are these places? This is not, again, I'm not thinking one-to-one, one-to-one. For me, is the least attractive business for you. Now, what we have in Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, Toledo, we could have it in other cities. We could have it in cities in Germany, in South Africa, everywhere. All right, so we're ready for it. And these places are actually public places. It can be a coffee shop, it can be, I don't know, a library, but these are public places. So the idea of joining students per needs with the use of technology, like the one that we have here, allow us to open groups and also have this element of the more people in the group will open my margin as well, right? So I'll show you also the model, the financial model and how it will benefit you. But first, know that the page is ready. The page is ready, you can try. And you can now tell us, all right, I have a very nice place right next to my house where I'm open to meet with students. It can be in Sitges, I believe, or I remember you were living there, Mark, or in any other place, in Barcelona, in Madrid, or wherever you are, actually. But my advice would be here, again, try to group it for your own benefit, right? So the potential of using technology helps with that. You can open a bar, you can tell us, please open that place, we're going to introduce it here. And then when browsing for in-person classes, they can see the nearest bar next to them. Fine, this is number one. Number two is how exactly that mechanism benefits you. So I'm going to show you now the formula, how it works. Okay, so here is what I mean. For instance, you can have, you may recognize some of you, those of you who have been in Barcelona, who have been teaching in the Metropolitan gym. We do have in the bar, we do have classes, so people can take a class there, up to 5, even 6 people. So how exactly does it work? Now, remember, we play here, we can play with your time, but most importantly, we can play with the number of students that we accept in our classes. So here is where we make margin. Here is where you will say, well, you know, actually, if you tell me that I can reach 80 euros, 70, 80 euros per class, well, that's a great business, isn't it? So yeah, it is a good business. And this is where I'm going. So I'm not thinking 16 plus 3 or 14 plus 3 or whatever per traveling. I'm thinking big numbers here. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. And when you are thinking of students, I mean, yeah, you can say my student, 16 euros, coming and going, 1 hour plus 1 hour of teaching, bad business. Or you can think grouping. If you think grouping, you can see how beneficial it becomes. Let me remind you, 50% goes for the teacher, 50% is sales, 10% Oxinity fee, right? And here is, I can share that with you so that you see the numbers, but with your own students, you reach bigger numbers. That's of course, but whenever the group is yours in a bar, you have opened this group in the Metropolitan, it's yours, and you are accepting students of others. This first column, the vertical one, the first column, right underneath 0, shows you that you can grow with students of others if the group is yours as well. So if you have 4 students, you're 30 euros. If you have 5 students, you're 37. If you have 6 students, you are on, on 45 almost, right? With students of others, because of the fact that you are the owner and you are receiving students, right? And if you have students, if you have your own students, then the progression is even better, right? So imagine that, what we say here, imagine working 3 hours a day, be back to back in this same place. If you have 4 students average in each group, this is quite an attractive outcome at the end of the month, right? So this is what we mean when we talk about numbers and in person. This is what I have in mind, this potential. And again, maybe your own stance, I understand it, and online is the trend. This is it. But in person can be also an alternative if we think in a way that benefits again students and us. So I was planning also to raise the idea. We can talk about it today or next time. When students learn better, whether in one-to-one classes or in group classes. And when I think groups, I think, of course, shared classes, reduced groups, and groups with the same people with the same needs. This is it. Again, we used to think old school, and technology allows us to provide a better solution, right? We can talk about it today or leave it for next time. But when we talk about in person, if you don't see this, then you are missing this opportunity of in person as well. Okay, so this is it. Tell me, guys, what do you think about this type of proposition for in-person classes? James, let's start with you.
Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, I mean, looking at this model, it's definitely the way to go. I mean, obviously, I live in a small town in Spain, and talking about the face-to-face classes, they are very, very popular here still. A lot of people are still sort of a little bit wary of online. I've done both. I think online is great. I think it's definitely the future, but I do think we do need to look at the face-to-face option as well, because we can potentially lose a lot of students, especially not so much in the big cities, but in some smaller towns in Spain where they are still a little bit sort of old school. Mm-hmm. I mean, for instance, I know a teacher at an academy. Now, during the lockdown, they went completely online, and they lost quite a few students.
But no surprise. Sorry to cut you, James, but the online of in-person teachers, I know what it is. So we're not, our online and people's online is not the same. So people's online, and I see it in some websites, I see videos with it, I see screenshots from what they call online. What they call online is Zoom and a textbook. And even teachers with this, doing this. Yeah, so this is my journal. Yeah, this is not a real textbook, but teachers use it. This is not online. I mean, this online is definitely something that no one would prefer. Of course, to this online, I also prefer in person. Our online is different. So yes. At the same time that I know that small cities, you have a different mindset of students. It's tempting to please them, but you have to know as well what you count on. So what you count on in online is one certain type of online teaching, and what you count on in person is, again, a potential to use that you can also do in small towns as well. Why not? You're in one place, people can come to you. If the place is small, distances are smaller, therefore it will be easier. So a solution like the one that you see in the screen, I think, can work for small towns perfectly.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. This would work perfectly in this area, because there's a lot of small towns very close to each other within like 10 minutes, 15 minutes drive. If you had like a central place in the middle of one of that group of towns, I think you would get students coming there.
You choose the place, James,
yeah.
and then tell us where you will be based, and we are going to display that in the website. So every time someone wants a class in Alaurín, right? You're
Yes.
in Alaurín,
Yeah.
El Grande. Then we are going to display where you are. So,
yeah.
Okay, it will work perfectly for you, and you will have this probably quite a good formula for this target. Okay, so Paddy, over to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, just a few things I wanted to say. Yeah, in terms of kind of online to in-person classes, having done a few in-person classes, yeah, I mean, I definitely find that more enjoyable. It's maybe more effective in certain ways, but at the same time, like you say, in terms of variable classes and grouping students together, I mean, to really utilize online classes that way. And they can be just as effective for any student. But you know, obviously in smaller groups, large groups isn't just. But one of the problems I've come across already, obviously I'm open to do the in-person classes that are in reasonable distance, so that we can keep the students. So I'm open for that. But I've just recently then kind of saw a student where potential student, but then for me at least, going to be able to get it. That's why I think obviously online is definitely the main way to go. But I did have a student a while back who didn't convert to client, but was a lead that I took in. I convinced her to at least try the online class where she wanted in person. So I would say to people, if you find someone looking for in-person classes, unless they make it obviously abundantly clear that they don't want online classes, some people will make a very aggressive point on that. But yeah, there's no harm in kind of sending a message and saying, well, first of all, try to convince them to try an online classes, because some people do change their mind. So basically,
fair enough. When you think of, well, I hear you guys say that in order not to lose students, but you have to know that you have to start changing this perspective. You don't lose them. There is a funnel for everything, and in businesses, we never talk about how many students we've lost. I mean, yes, if something bad happens, if for instance now all our system crashes, all the systems crash, and there is no way we provide a service, we would be talking about students loss. But when we talk about recruiting students, we're not talking about losing students. We're talking about we measure with the funnel is different. So the funnel is out of how many people that will try me, I will keep those who really want my service. This is how you should measure it. And the fact that you're going to decide in person is not going to be determinant. You don't have to think that because I say yes to in person, I will get the students. It's a lie. It doesn't happen that way. But you have to be prepared for both alternatives, and then you can decide. Let me insist here. I think that our objective here is to give you tools so that you can decide. But the decision shouldn't be in order for me not to lose the student. No. It has to be, how can I attract more students and benefit from it? This is the right, in my opinion, line of thoughts. Because when we start thinking what to do so that I don't lose that particular student, then probably we're going to make a poor decision and we're going to forget half of the things that are beneficial for us here, because the students tells us that they need this and that, right? So be very careful when you also try to please everyone at any cost. There is something that is much more effective here, which is knowing what tools I have and how to make the most of them with the students that I can get. And again, play with your students and your hours and hours of others. So you, Patty, for instance, or you, James, or Mari Carmen, everyone, Georgina, everyone, you have each other's hours as well. Students, they can choose. Students can choose to go to different bars. So it's not about whether you will do the traveling, it's where you are going to send the student to Inperson. It's different. And it's much better to think that way. You know, I have now, Radmila is telling me that I can send students in person. So what is she saying? That the page is ready so students can click and see the nearest bar. Do I have to be in that bar? Probably not necessarily. Maybe a partner of mine is there. But if I send the student in person there, I also get the margin. It was, by the way, I had made a mistake. It's 40% sales, not 50, but it's fixed now. So this is my point. My point is how to enable you, what tools to give you so that in person, in case it's necessary, can be also solved. This is what I would like you guys to understand, and then everyone can make their choice. So, Kaylee, before you had raised your hand, would you still want to give your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, the moment had passed, but I just wanted to just share my experience of meeting people online, not necessarily teaching. During lockdown in 2020, I had grown a bit. What was sort of like as the levels were reducing and we were able to go out, I had become disillusioned with a dating website. And then I kind of just realized that and then I was feeling very disconnected and isolated. And I was feeling like I actually need healthy connections. That's what I need to be pursuing more than anything else. And I had joined a church and they had invited me to a small group. And I had declined because of time and everything. And then being on lockdown, obviously had a lot of time. But the whole thing was online. So I was a bit nervous about that. But to be honest, I met some really amazing friends who I'm still connected with now. Now we are meeting in person. But what I want to say about online is I honestly didn't think that I would connect so deeply with people just on a screen. And I really felt after we used to meet on Zoom and it was like there was a cutoff of 40 minutes and then we would log in again. So it was like an hour and a half of meeting and chatting, catching up with each other and encouraging each other. And I actually felt like I had been in the same room with these people. So I really don't think there is a level of connection that is lost through online. Somehow the magic still happens. And now with teaching students online the last 2 weeks, I've really enjoyed it and I really have felt like I've connected with the students. And I know there is an element of physical contact that is very important, especially for, especially like psychologically and for mental health, it's very important. But connecting and really connecting with people is not impossible online. So that's just what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Now, to what you said, which is true, let me add this. Now, you are in South Africa. You are not going to be, if we didn't have, for instance, a formula like the one that I'm showing you for Inperson, then you would have to stay online and that's it.
Yeah.
Now,
yes, for me.
But no, because now I'm adding a little bit more to it. Now, today, I'm telling you that you, Kaylee, imagine that chances will be very, very, very low, but who knows, you know? A person from James's town, which is Alaurín el Grande, contacts you. Well, with what I explained, then you will be able to send them to James's class.
Yes.
That's it. So keeping 40% because you are the owner of the lead. Now, this is it. So here again, we have to understand that please, guys, don't think of yourself as the sole provider of everything. You have a lot of burden if you think that way, and I want to take it away from you. So it's not you and only you here. It's you and Georgina, you and James, you and Jordan and Mark and Jazz, etc., etc. So Jazz has traveled the world, and she knows people in Taiwan and in where, I don't know, in
Vietnam.
Vietnam and Asia, fine. But if Jazz is approached by someone that wants to learn English in Madrid, Jazz will be able to direct them to the places where someone is teaching in Madrid, you know, and she will stay online because she prefers it. And you, Kaylee, are happy teaching online, and you will stay online. And so will Mari Carmen, and so will Georgina, probably the majority of the time, until she decides, well, now you know what, I feel like going to that place because of, you know. So this is it. This is what we're talking about, right? So what I say is, again, guys, think that you have now tools. If we didn't have the technology that we have, and I just put the question in person or online, I'm thinking old school, but I'm not there. I'm not there anymore. You know, old school is old school with its elements and benefits, etc., etc. One-to-one, whatever. I'm thinking something different. This is it. So I'm putting it in your hands, and you can use it as you wish. Now, Josie doesn't have to be ready at 9 a.m. because her students want class at that time. She was panicking last night. Look, the student of mine wants a class at 9. Should I be there? No, relax. We have options there, you know? So there are options that you have to know. You're not the sole provider here. You can use it for your growth as you want, right? Who else? Jordan, you've raised your hand, and then Georgina.
Yeah, that's right. I was just going to reinforce what I learned this week from teaching was it's that personal connection online, because I did do one student that I had in person, and after teaching in school, it's what I expected. It's like what Mark said, where there's a lot of dynamics. You think that you can't beat it, but that's the best way to teach. And then when I've been teaching Oxinity, it's that I forget that I'm alone. I feel I'm with the students, and we're smiling and laughing, and I feel there is definitely a connection that it's the use of the technology. I feel it's so much more efficient. The time that goes into teaching in person and in Oxinity, the actual teaching that takes place is a lot quicker in Oxinity. It's a lot more efficient. That's what I feel, you know.
Thank you. Yeah, it has to be that way, because there is no need to wait for anyone to fill gaps or to do exercises, etc. So that's why it feels faster, and it's great to feel that way. In a way, you're telling the student, okay, so we don't wait. You then do everything at your pace with the platform, but with me, we practice all the time, so it's much more dynamic. Yeah.
Sorry. After an hour of teaching a group of people in person, I feel exhausted. But after an hour on Oxinity, it's not the same exhaustion. I still feel like we did as much learning and teaching, but I'm ready for another lesson after it as well.
That's great. Thank you. Georgina, then Cindy, and then Carla. Over to you guys.
Okay. Thank you, Radmila. No, I just want to mention that every single Friday that you show these amazing charts with these estimations of how much money we can make, which is amazing. Of course, who would not want to work only 3 hours a day and make 3,000 euros? Yes, it says the word imagine. I'm just pointing that out. Getting the first column is hard enough, but this can only happen if there's student contribution. So when I see these charts, I don't see money, actually. I see people, our partners, making the effort to share and to collaborate. So if the only thing, the way this can work, if all of us do that part. And I just want to point that out. And I insist, well, I like to think about that so that we can remove that from the equation. It's only done through the contribution of all of us. So I think that what we should actually be doing, talking is amazing. And, I don't think we're really aware of the possibilities that we have with the Oxinity framework. I just wanted to point that out.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I can easily understand how you feel, but people also need to know, when we talk about growth, what do we mean there, right? So we have a starting point, and I could have done also the symbol of infinite, because actually this is an infinite growth. So by putting 3,000 or by putting 89, I'm not putting an end to it, yeah? And this 89 may not happen in all your classes. It probably won't happen in all your classes. It may happen in one of them, but it will be a reality. So we have to know, and it's not bad to dream within reasonable standards. I have to give you the tools, and then you make whatever you can with them. It's also true. So, but I have to think, I have to, because we have to. Today we have, I don't know, 70, 80 teachers. Yes, right now. But tomorrow we will reach 1,000. And when is tomorrow? Well, tomorrow may be in 3 years, but we will get there. And I know it. And I know that for me, it's also hard to think 1,000. So all I have to do, and all I invite you to do, is to think 1 lead a day. Yes, 3,000 euros may be an illusion right now. You can't imagine it, but can you imagine 1 lead a day? Yeah. So for me, from my perspective, can I imagine 1,000 teachers? I would get crazy. But can I imagine working with 1 teacher and putting them to get 1 lead a day? Yes, I can. I've done it. Therefore, if we replicate that, all of us, with what you said, with the help of the community, which is what all this is about, I'm going to reach my 1,000 teachers, and you're going to reach your 89 euros, almost 90 per hour. We have to have that, and then once we've seen the illusion, then I tell you, you have to think 1 lead a day, all of you guys, and we'll get there. I have to think 1 lead a day, and you have to think 1 lead a day. This is how we make it.
Can I? Now, sorry to cut in, Radmila. Just one very quick point. I hope you don't mind me making this.
It's okay.
I think we ought to perhaps not try and fall into the trap of basically sort of George Orwell's Animal Farm of 2 legs bad, 4 legs good, of everything about online classes is fantastic, and everything about face-to-face classes is old school. Just because something is old school doesn't necessarily mean to say it's bad. I think that's a point to make. Old school does not equal it's something that's bad. No.
Old school is old school, and it's bad. But in person is not bad. So,
exactly. But I think we ought to move away from this expression of old school.
Old school is old school. Old school is, there are some premises or some lines of thought that we know where they lead. This is old school.
Absolutely. But I think
in person, and all this session is to actually, if you analyze, the majority of the teachers are here favor online, and I'm here telling you, I'm talking about in person the whole time.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
the whole time I'm telling you how to implement in person so that it's beneficial for you. But old school, Mark.
Yeah, I think it's I think, yeah, as I say, I think it's important to obviously not, as I say, fall into the trap of thinking that old school is necessarily inherently bad. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater as well. And I agree with you entirely, obviously, that we have to be looking at the benefits of presential classes, of face-to-face classes as well. So I just think we have to be open, not just thinking, okay, we've now gone to this way of online classes, therefore it's the only way forward. And I'm not saying this to you, Radmila, I'm just saying this generally, that
no, but it's important to distinguish what is but all I say is, let's have the concepts clear. So we shouldn't demonize in person. That's why we're talking about it. Although
exactly.
The majority of the people will stay online, and online is the future, you know. But since since things are not we're not playing extremes. Now I wanted to deal with it as well, you know. So, but the elements of old school, don't be afraid to throw away things that belong to the past, Mark, because you know it's not bad. It's something that it's transformative. Let's call it that way. It's transformative experience. So the good things that we have learned in our from our experience, we're going to keep them. That's not old school. Old school is when you really try to stick to those things that we used to do before, just because we were in our comfort zone. No,
but face-to-face classes are not old school. Thousands of colleges and schools give classes face-to-face, not online. So I think online we should embrace, and we should definitely use the technology and the benefits of online classes. But I think we miss something if we say we just look completely online, because classes, education as a whole, face-to-face, is old school. It's not. It's still very, very, it forms part of our general education. It forms part of our teaching. And I think we have to be careful not to go completely online and exclude.
But when I say old school, there is old school in online too. So believe me, old school in online means teacher with a textbook putting it in front of the students with Zoom. This is old school in online, and it's even worse than old school in person. So we're talking about new in person and new online with the tools and the technology that we have. This is it. Yeah. So in person, of course, but universities, you know what I read, and we have to go very soon, but I read now a university in Argentina that is talking about private classes with 3 students. A private class that is traditionally related to one-to-one. These guys are opening up private class, but with 3 people. Why? Because they are able to group them by their needs. So are we. So this is new school. And old school is when, well, old school is old school, but we're not going about, the debate is not on that. Yeah. The debate is in person or online with the tools that allow you to grow. This is it. And again, we start with 1 lead a day, but look how far we can get. I will get to my 1,000 teachers in 3 years. I will get there. I know it. And either I think that way or I will never get it. So those people who set objectives, they start simple, but they reach them. Yeah. So the same for you guys. Now, final, very quickly, because you had raised your hand, Cindy. Over to you very quickly, and then Carla.
Hi, thank you so much, Radmila. I know it's late now. I just wanted to tell a short story. I had a friend who wanted English lessons, and he was like, "No, but I want it in person. I don't like that." Well, so I was able to come to his house because we live in the same town, and I gave him a class. And then I told him like, "Okay, but next time let's try it online." And that's what we did, and that's how we do it. Have we've been doing for 4 months, I think, and he really enjoys it. So it's all about giving students opportunities, options, so they can try online and see the potential on it. And now that we have this platform, which is Oxinity, that give us better tools, we can do it. I mean, we can provide students with both options, and they will get to know which one is better, maybe. But now I'm not alone. I'm not there in Spain, but I can find a student who prefers in person, and they will have that option. And with this model that you show us, I think we have many possibilities now. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted
That's the
to say.
idea. And thank you for summarizing it so well, because that's the idea. Eventually, this is it. Whether you choose one way or another, I'm not going to stand in your decision. This is up to you guys, yeah? But knowing what you can do, then you will decide the best for yourself and for your students. Yeah, that's the idea. And Carla, final words from you as well?
Yes, I had a student this week who has a business, is a fashion designer, and he has to learn English. He's Italian, he's based in Italy, but he doesn't know how to use technology in order to connect to an online class. What would you do? I mean,
well, I would definitely refer them to if he wants to try, then the business management team will be with him, guiding him all the way to the class for a successful connection. It's actually very simple, but if he struggles, then we will guide him step by step. So they can a technical how do you call that? A test can be done before the class, and then we can explain to him the steps. It's very simple. If they know how to use a computer or a smartphone, then they will be able to access a class. It's really simple. So,
yeah, but his English is very basic. So,
okay. And his what is his mother tongue? Italian.
Italian, yes, yes.
Okay, then well, we'll do it in Italian with your help. But we can guide him. So he needs to click on the link, and then you can just tell him, okay, click on that link and follow the steps.
Okay.
Just this. If he's guide him, if he's has elementary level of English, then when the part of the levels appear, then tell them to click the first one.
Okay.
And to choose a class. He doesn't have to be proficient in a language. He's very visual. So he's just clicking on the first circle and then clicking on the time. They will understand it, because when it comes to the grid, then we have no words, we have just numbers. So he will understand.
Okay, thank you for that.
No problem. But if he struggles, then we're going to, I'm sure that let us know so that we guide him.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Right. Okay. So guys, to summarize, and literally, it is now your choice to use the tools as you wish. This is the potential that we have. This is what we have created. Those who want to stay online will stay online, and those who want to try in person, you guys have this other tool which is ready to go, but the decision is yours. Yeah, we're not going to decide for you. So let us know if you have any question. And basically, we're going international, and we have to implement solutions for each and every one of you. This is it. So this is part of the solution that you have wherever you are, to bring students to other places as well. Yeah, the more we grow, the more options we will have for online and for also in person, right? Okay, so coffee shops all over the world can be that place where people would meet, and technology will group them according to their needs, online and in person. This is what I would like you to remember from this session. And now that we're talking objectives, the big objective, in order to achieve the big numbers, it starts with 1 click a day. 1 lead a day. 1 lead a day. This is it. 1 lead a day is action. If there are actions, there will be reactions as well. So, or outcomes, right? Okay, so thank you very much. I hope that was useful. Let me know if we can be of help, if there is any doubts. I will write some pointers for you and share after the session, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radmila. Bye.
Thanks, Radmila.
Thank you, Radmila.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend.